Hello, in today's meditation, I'm going to attempt to have you experience the difference between self and ego. As I've mentioned throughout many of my videos and pointed to in other meditations, is that there's the self and then there's everything other than that. And this everything other than that is what we call the ego. And ego has an underlying presence of irritation to it. That's just the nature of the ego. Because as you perceive yourself as something other than yourself, and yourself is whole and contentment, then whatever it is you perceive other than that has to have some sort of underlying discontentment to it, some sort of irritation and agitation, which can lead to all sorts of issues, primarily mental issues, being an apparent individual person or an ego. It could lead to, depression or anxiety, stress, or just never being content with yourself, with life. No matter what it is you do, you just can't seem to calm down and relax into just being who you are. So that's what this meditation is about, is pulling the ego apart from self so that you can experience the loving qualities of yourself relative to the irritative ego. In some form or fashion, your mind or your body is telling you to be somewhere else but here. Your mind is maybe saying, I am bored. Or what value does meditating or self-inquiring have? It just seems like it isn't anything and therefore isn't of value. This also may be expressed in the feelings and emotions that you have within your body at this moment. You may have tendencies within you, urges that make you want to get up and move away from here. Keep in mind that any sort of movement, either from your mind or your body, is the ego. Any sort of restlessness that you're experiencing from your mind or your body is the ego's attempt to get away from here, because this place is dangerous to an ego. Yet it is the Swan-Song of your heart, of yourself. this restlessness, either from your mind telling you to get up and go, or from feelings or tendencies or urges within your body, are the sign of progress. Do not take this restlessness as a negative. Use it as a springboard for you to recognize what ego is. This is a sign that ego has realized that you are on to the true meaning of life, a life of ever-present happiness. And these urges and feelings and thoughts you're experiencing are only notifications for you to help you pull and understand the ego relative to the contentness of yourself. Notice that thoughts or feelings or tendencies have to arise into some sort of medium. They have to arise on some sort of stage, some sort of playing field. This playing field or the stage is yourself. This is likened to words in a book. The words, the activity of the book, plays out or upon the page. For without the page, the words would not exist. The page in this example is yourself. The page is benign. The page adds no description to the book. It just is. It just is as it is, and it allows the words to express themselves as they will. The words are corresponding to the restlessness that you experience in your mind, in your body. In non-duality, we do not deny the words. We do not deny the mental and physical tendencies for you to want to move away from yourself. That would be denying reality. That would be denying what is. What we do here is we just turn our attention away from the words and we turn it towards the page. In turning your attention to the contentness and happiness of the page, the irritation and action contained within the words starts to dissolve. This is to say, as we turn our attention towards the total stillness of ourself, the page of ourself, we start to acknowledge the self's beautiful qualities of stillness and irritationlessness and agitationlessness relative to the irritation and agitation of the words of the ego. So we don't try to get rid of anything, because trying would only create more resistance, more activity, more restlessness. This is just saying, turn your attention towards the peace and the harmony of the page of yourself instead of the restlessness of the egoic mind and body. And rest and abide in, as much as you possibly can, yourself, until all you know is the freedom and peace and happiness of the love of yourself. Until all you know is yourself alone. You are experiencing yourself directly at this very moment. It is the experience of the absence of movement. Allow your body to come to your presence and immediately drop the concept of body. What remains is the absence of activity. The activity of stillness. The activity of effortlessness. What remains is the presence of you, of yourself. The emptiness of the page. This is what we turn our attention to in self-inquiry. In the absence of action and in the absence of motion, there is a presence that remains. This presence is not a void. It's not a vacuum where absolutely nothing remains. Quite the contrary. What remains is the wholeness of yourself, the experience of being. And regardless on if your mind is still trying to get you to move away from here, and your body is creating urges to get you to get up and leave, your presence, the presence of you, still remains. You can watch your mind and your body from the presence of your being, the presence of yourself. Total stillness and harmony. When you turn your attention back away from the manifestation of life, from the irritative attributes of ego, and back into the harmony of yourself, you realize that it takes no effort to remain as yourself. This may take a few attempts at self-inquiry before this is realized, but never give up. Because the moment you realize that it takes absolutely no effort to know yourself, to know and abide in these beautiful qualities, you will forever know the answer to life. The answer to ever-present happiness. The ultimate goal. You will realize that you, yourself, doesn't have to leave itself to know itself. That you do not have to leave yourself to know yourself. That is how utterly intimate self is with itself. It is closer than your deepest feelings and your closest relationships, because it is you. You are yourself, and it takes no effort for you to be yourself. You are yourself just by being yourself. And this is experienced when you turn your attention away from the egoic activities and you turn this attention, your attention, back onto itself, where attention is attending only to itself, which means you are attending only to yourself. When it is experienced that yourself only needs to attend to itself, to know itself, you know and understand inherently the true definition of yourself. And once this experience of self is witnessed by you, then you will understand what everything other than yourself is. And once you understand the profoundness of this realization that there's only one entity of self, of yourself, and everything else that is known by you or felt by you or perceived by you is other than yourself is ego. And once you have these tools, the tool of yourself, the tool of the knowledge of yourself, you will be equipped with the most profound piece of knowledge ever experienced in the history of humanity, in the history of the cosmos. For you will have answered the question, who am I? You are yourself alone. You are existence alone, awareness alone. Do not confuse loneliness with aloneness. Loneliness is a state of mind generated by ego. It fluctuates. It comes and goes. Loneliness is not real. Aloneness is a way of being. It is a permanent presence of peace, happiness, and love. And once you experience the way of being of aloneness, you will never return to the state of mind of ego, of loneliness. So regardless of your mind wanting you to be anywhere else but here and now, and regardless of your body urging you to get up and leave, just turn your attention away from these irritations and this restlessness and turn it toward the ever-loving presence of your heart, of yourself, and learn how to abide and rest into this infinite cradle of love. Have a beautiful day.